History of MKUltra. I love conspiracy theories. Absolutely love them. I watch them all day, bro. I watch the JRE damn near daily. So let's get into this MKUltra video, man. We got 11 on the screen first. Fire.
April 13th, 1953. CIA
I don't know about the last season, though. It's good, but you know what I mean.
Director Alan Dulles gave a speech about the dangers of communism and the war of the mind. The federal government was haunted by the fear of communism and believed it spread rapidly at this time because the Soviets mastered the art of mind control. Sandwiched between the aftermath of World War II and the beginnings of the Cold War, intelligence agencies...
Okay, so right after World War II, right? You got... America is absolutely terrified of communism, right? We have our democracy here, which we love, and we have countries over, you know, Russia, Britain, all of them, bro, right? And they're all attacking other countries, like taking over that whole side of the earth, and we're just like sitting here like, fuck, man. And I mean, it's a race to the atomic bomb, right? Or nuclear bomb. And, you know, even kids in school fucking... They're like teaching them like, hey, kids, if there's a fucking anything goes south, bro, let's fucking get under our damn desk, bro. And, you know, families are goddamn making fucking bunkers and shit and having food supply for years, bro. It's fucking crazy time, bro.
Believed foreign brainwashing could indoctrinate the American people. As a result, a classified project was created to emulate the communist mind control programs, effectively fighting fire with fire. There are several speculations as to why MKUltra began, but one fact remains. People in power justified pushing the boundaries of known science and warfare by committing human rights violations under the guise of intelligence. MKUltra's clandestine tests took place in
So they said, fuck it. They said, absolutely fuck it. Let's break the laws that we have here in America. We have to do some illegal shit to try to fight against what they're doing, because what they're doing is illegal. So we said, fuck it, let's just test it. Like, Jesus, man.
Hospitals, prisons, and pharmaceutical centers all across the United States and Canada. One of the most famous testing sites was the Allen Memorial Institute, or the Ravenscrag, at McGill University in Montreal. These top-secret experiments and procedures were led by Sidney Gottlieb, the United States spy master and mad chemist who financed and developed, quote, techniques that would crush the human psyche to the point that it would admit anything. MKUltra was preceded by Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke, two projects originating in the 19...
So I don't exactly know why they would want to do this, right? They want to break their psyche and kind of get the truth out of them. Maybe you can word that differently, but they're trying to break them down using these various techniques, which I know is drugs. I know that fact of MKUltra. We dosed people with drugs to try to see what happens under certain scenarios when they're under these drugs. But why, I don't know. And who you would do that to? I guess if we capture enemy official, like government officials or influences, you know, maybe we could get some information out of them. But I don't know. Let's see.
1940s, the goal of Project Bluebird was to train subjects through hypnosis and behavior modification so that it would be impossible for enemies of the United States to extract vital information. The goal of Project Artichoke was to examine if a human is capable of attempting an assassination without hesitation. Methods used include hypnosis, forced substance addiction, and forced...
Bro, so obviously we have JFK's assassination. What year did he get assassinated? Low key, bro. Let's look that up.
Substance withdrawal.
Let's look that up. Can you see that? When was JFK assassinated? 1963. So this is the damn sweet spot for fucking MKUltra, bro. So that fucking means, holy shit, bro. Dude, that's literally this whole project. What was this project? What the fuck was it? I don't remember what project it was called, bro. Artichoke. It was Project Artichoke, bro. So they were testing to see if people would kill somebody. Holy shit, bro. This is fucking insane.
MKUltra, the final evolution of its 1940s predecessors, employed a variety of techniques to influence the minds and brains of its subjects, including the covert administration of high doses of psychoactive substances. In most cases, LSD, also known as lysergic acid diethylamide, a powerful hallucinogen. This CIA project used a cocktail of chemicals and drugs such as barbiturates.
Bro, people have a bad trip on marijuana, and that's like light compared to LSD, right? Like LSD trips are, I mean, I've never done it, but I've heard it's intense. And if you have a bad trip on marijuana, right, and you have a bad trip on LSD, that's way different. And not even like if you're doing it by yourself, but if it's in a controlled room with government officials and it's under fucking, it's literally like people are in the back, like seeing through the double-sided window or whatever, and they're taking notes on you, like, and it's a whole study, and it's called Project Artichoke, and they're like, all right, what does this person do in this scenario? And you're just there, bro, like, what the fuck do you do?
Amphetamines and hallucinogens to put their subjects in a comatose state while also violently snapping them back to reality. This was carried out by injecting a barbiturate in a subject's arm and then an amphetamine in the other, often resulting in death. One of the main scientists responsible for the horrific practices of MKUltra was Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron. Cameron invented two medical torture techniques that were repeated until the unwilling subject's mind was effectively broken, though not all subjects received the same treatment or torture. First, Cameron utilized a technique known as psychic driving. Patients were frequently exposed to hundreds of thousands of repeats of a single remark, which would theoretically change
Bro, they're literally just driving you fucking insane on LSD, playing the same sound over and over and over again. That's fucking a different type of torture, bro. Like, all torture is bad, but dude, that shit would just get you, like, you literally lose your fucking mind, bro.
Behavior. Then, the subject met the wrath of Cameron's second technique. Depatterning was the
Even if you're not on drugs, hearing the same shit over and over is making you lose your fucking mind, bro.
Logical successor to psychic driving, which is when the test subject undergoes massive doses of electroconvulsive therapy, combined with equally large doses of psychedelic drugs. One can only...
What is psychotherapy? I don't know what that is, bro. Let's look that up real quick. Wait, what did he even say? Psychiatric therapy? I got a new keyboard, so it's a little... What the fuck did he say? Hold on.
Combined with test subject undergoes massive doses of electroconvulsive therapy.
Electrocompulsive therapy. That's what he said, right? I still might have got it wrong. Electrocompulsive therapy. What's this? What is this? Medical treatment for severe mental health conditions involving controlled electrical stimulation of the brain to induce a brief seizure, often leading to rapid symptom relief. What the fuck is the point of that bullshit?
Combined with equally large doses of psychedelic drugs.
And
One
LSD.
can only imagine what truly happened to some of these people, where they are now, and if they remember anything.
So they gave you a fucking seizure, and then they fucking give you, and also give you drugs. What the fuck?
If they survived.
Tell me about the acid.
I'd rather not. It's a bad trip.
Of course they pick a fucking black guy.
Trip. That was a bad trip. The pain was so excruciating. Felt like somebody was sticking me with 1,000,000 pins. You know, just everywhere.
That's how I feel when I take too much beta-alanine, so... Oh no, he's crying. My bad. Damn. That's a different type of trauma, bro. Like, who's going through that? These select people. Torture and
With any
drugs.
classified project, intelligence agencies across the globe go through every effort to stay hidden. One method of cryptic language used by the CIA is known as cryptonyms. A cryptonym is a code name or code word used by the CIA to reference operations, people, projects, or other agencies. All CIA cryptonyms that are now used online were used between the 50s and 80s, which means it is more than likely the entire system has been replaced. All that exists online are partial lists and probable definitions. There is no way to know for certain the exact meanings and extent of these declassified projects. Each CIA cryptonym has a 2-character prefix known as a digraph, which identifies a region or function, but over time, certain digraphs underwent changes. The Soviet Union digraph, for instance, underwent at least 2 changes. For example, in the 1950s, the Soviet Union was known as AE, but in the 80s, it was PD. The remaining words are either random dictionary words, cryptonyms that occasionally combine to produce dictionary words like aeroplane, or can be read out as short phrases.
Why are they doing this bullshit,
like
bro?
Wybather, which is pronounced why bother. MKUltra is a cryptonym that denotes the following: MK equals TSS, or the Technical Services Staff, and Ultra being the highest classification of intelligence during World War II. There are plenty of unidentified cryptonyms, which lends itself to the fact that there is so much information kept from us, and we may never know it.
The monkey puzzle tree.
Elizabeth Nixon is a Canadian writer and journalist who, in 1994, published the novel The Monkey Puzzle, an account of CIA brainwashing trials in Montreal during the 1950s and 60s. The height of MKUltra. She explains that her mother was under the care of none other than Ewan Cameron. By this time, Cameron was head of the American Psychiatric Association.
Her fucking
He
mom
had been a
got this
friend
shit done.
of Alan Dulles, who, if you remember, is the man responsible for the genesis of MKUltra. In fact, they shared a long history together, dating back to the Nuremberg trials. In 1977, after
I
President...
wonder if these guys, you know how serial killers like have kind of they reason with their own beliefs that killing is okay for them. Like Dexter has his code that he kills by. Like, if this person harms other people and is going to harm another person, I'm going to kill him, which that makes sense. And honestly, Dexter's a fucking savage, bro. He's like low-key a superhero, bro. But anyway, that's probably what these guys are doing, I assume. Like, or even you can look at who created the nuclear bomb. No, atomic bomb. Sorry, I think it was an atomic bomb, right? What was his name? Oppenheimer? Dude, but he still kind of lived with regret, I think, after. But these guys probably did the same. Like, hey, if we don't fucking do this, if we don't test this, our country could get taken over. So that's probably
Ford's executive order. Under the release of the U.S. Freedom of Information Act, Cameron was discovered to have conducted the most extreme mind control trials, employing massive amounts of shock treatments and drugs such as PCP and LSD. You may be wondering, did Cameron's extreme
Is that a
methods
fucking
lead to
sugar
the
cube,
cure
by
of
the way?
cancer or Alzheimer's or anything? Well, according to journalist Sid Taylor in an article from 1992, Cameron used a toxin known as Curare in order to debilitate his patients while conducting research. This toxin was used by South American natives to poison their hunting arrows. When applied to the body, it shuts down the neuromuscular system. The article continues by saying, although the patient was prepared by both prolonged sensory isolation, repeated depatterning, and recorded receiving 101 days of psychic driving, no favorable results were obtained. So as you can guess, this was
Holy
around the
shit.
time Dr. Cameron fashioned his own invasive forms of therapy, explained before as depatterning and psychic driving. Much of this information has only been disclosed relatively recently, since the CIA has admitted to funding human behavior control research at 150 institutions, including 44 universities and a variety of
Jesus,
hospitals,
man, on
prisons,
students.
and drug rehab
Jesus,
clinics.
man.
Remember, these are just the ones declassified.
dichotomy of Frank Olson and Ken Kesey.
In 1953, while attending a CIA retreat, a scientist working for the agency drank a cocktail that had been spiked with LSD.
No.
His name was Frank Olson. A few days later, on November 28, 1953, Olson allegedly committed suicide by falling from the window of a New York City
made him kill
hotel
himself,
room.
bro.
41 years after his death, in 1994, Frank Olson's family decided to have a second autopsy performed. A forensics team discovered injuries on the body that were most likely caused before the fall. Following lengthy legal proceedings, Olson's family was awarded a $750,000 settlement and a personal apology from President Gerald Ford and the then CIA director William Colby.
Sorry, our government killed your fucking husband,
administering the LSD to Frank Olson was none other than Sidney Gottlieb, by this time known as the Black Sorcerer and Dirty Trickster. Ask yourself, if there was zero truth to the conspiracy surrounding Olson's death, why would the sitting president and CIA director give a personal apology?
Question is, why did they kill him? I mean, I hope that he gets to that, but I don't know why. Like, they spiked his drink, okay. They've been testing people who have been doing these drugs. I don't know why. Did he know was it an accident, or why did they have to kill him? You know what I mean?
Why would the United States court rule to award Olson's family with what would almost be $9 million in today's money? One of the side effects of being a mad scientist like Sidney Gottlieb is being bald, which is why today's video is sponsored by Keeps. Keeps is
right. Good for you, bro. You got sponsors. I don't, bro.
Research received limited mess to prevent has you for your 50% down below. Keeps, author of the 1960s, while a college student at Stanford University, Ken Kesey, author of the 1962 novel One Flew Over the... At Stanford University, Ken Kesey.
Is that not Ludwig? What the fuck?
Author of the 1962 novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, volunteered for MKULTRA LSD experiments. Kesey later went on to promote the drug by hosting acid tests, which were LSD-fueled parties. These parties incorporated drug use with musical performances by bands such as The Grateful Dead, as well as psychedelic effects. These parties influenced the early development of hippie culture and sparked the psychedelic drug scene in the 1960s. The dichotomy of Frank Olson and Ken Kesey is, on one hand, you have a guy who could have been murdered by the CIA because of his involvement with their psychoactive drug testing, while another guy involved in similar testing went on to spark hippie culture. It wasn't just a good time for the hippies, though. Operation Midnight Climax was an MKUltra project in which government hired prostitutes enticed unsuspecting men to CIA safe houses across San Francisco, California, and New York City. The CIA would administer LSD through drinks or aerosols to the men and then observe their behavior while crushing a couple of cold ones behind a two-way mirror. It is noted that the program had little oversight and leadership. The agents involved admitted to a loose, party-like atmosphere where...
Okay, but what's the point of that? You fucking give them drugs, you get them with a prostitute, and you watch them. You're like... Does this person like freak out and think the fucking girl's tits is a fucking two-headed dragon, or like what's the point of this? I mean, you could use it for blackmail, but I don't know why. Like, what's the point of that then?
Themselves engaged with the prostitutes and used drugs. George White, a CIA agent working under Operation Midnight Climax, wrote to Sidney Gottlieb in 1971, stating, "Of course, I was a very minor missionary, actually a heretic, but I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was
fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, and cheat, steal, deceive, rape, and pillage, with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest?"
It would be sooner than later that the truth would be revealed, and the intelligence communities would be made to answer for their illegal and inhumane enterprise. You see, in 1972, the Watergate scandal triggered paranoia amongst Washington and the already weary American people. This led to newly appointed CIA Director Richard Helms ordering all MKUltra files destroyed, coupled with anecdotal stories such as U.S. Army servicemen spying on civilians intelligence spread, eventually culminating in a New York Times article by Seymour Hersh in 1974. Seymour Hersh was already a well-known investigator, as he gained worldwide recognition for covering the Watergate scandal and by exposing the My Lai massacre, for which he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for international reporting. Many elected officials, journalists, whistleblowers, and investigators, like Seymour Hersh, were following a rat's trail that eventually led them to an entire den. Hersh's New York Times article claimed the CIA.
Could you imagine that, bro? You're a reporter in 1955, and you just think this is just like a one-off story, but you end up uncovering all of this fucking shit. Like, if you're that person who discovers that, first off, nobody's gonna believe you, bro. At this time, everyone believed our government. I mean, even like 15 years, even before COVID, people were like, yeah, the government's cool, bro. I mean, I think some people knew about JFK, like that was assassination was probably inside job, but not to this extent. Like, holy shit, man. I could not imagine doing that.
Violated its charter by spying on anti-war activists. His story is credited as a major factor in the establishment of the Church Committee, which was created to investigate illegal federal intelligence operations. However, it ended up taking the combined might of the Church Committee, Pike Committee, and Rockefeller Commission to find the truth of MKUltra after discovering documents that failed to be destroyed in Helms's purge. These three forces would pressure not only the CIA, but the NSA, FBI, and IRS to answer for any wrongdoing or illegal activity. Thus, in 1976, 3 years after MKUltra was halted, Executive Order 11905 was drafted and signed by President Gerald Ford after the Church Committee and Pike Committee revealed classified information concerning the United States. This executive order would be an effort to outlaw, restructure, and reform much of the intelligence community, creating greater checks and balances to ensure that any and all activities are in conformity with the Constitution and United States laws. Even people to this day are still concerned that this was not enough justice, and that intelligence agents.
Dude, right after World War II, they started doing this bullshit, or maybe even during World War II, bro. And they're still doing it 20 years, 30 years later, bro. And people are just like, okay, or officials like this are kind of just like, yeah, okay, I guess we'll kind of slow down. I guess we can stop. Maybe. Yeah, we'll stop. Wink. The fuck, dude?
Agencies still work above the law.
I haven't worried about it. Your question again, what would I have thought had I known that
any of these substances would
have been given to...
This dude's lying. Is this not obvious? This dude's fucking lying. He didn't even say anything and he's lying.
You mean a hostile agent of another government?
Oh, we drugged people with LSD and they didn't know it, and we watched them and observed them and tortured them when they were on psychedelic drugs? What? No. We would do that? Come on. Hey. We're the U.S. government. You can trust us. We don't do that bullshit. Shut the fuck up, man.
No, I mean,
that was probably one of the things they had in mind.
Testing and
I mean, he's kind of mocking too, bro.
I guess I must seem very, very cold-blooded about this, but I don't recall ever having been very much preoccupied with that issue.
A national security agency's capability at any time could be turned around on the American people, and no American would have any privacy left. Such is the capability to monitor everything. Telephone conversations, telegrams, it doesn't matter. There would be no place to hide. If a dictator ever took over, the NSA could enable it to impose total tyranny, and there would be no way to fight back. Frank Church, founder of the Church Committee. Today, MKUltra methods and stories have been glorified in pop culture. For example, the show Stranger Things is based off of the Montauk Project, which may not be true, but shares great similarities with MKUltra. Themes of mind control, manipulation, and tall men in suits coming to take you away. Another reference is The Truman Show, where, spoiler alert, Jim Carrey as Truman Burbank lives in a fake world constantly being manipulated, recorded, and probably drugged. On social media, conspiracy theorists believe prominent celebrities and figures such as Lady Gaga and Bill Clinton are speculated to have been affected by MKUltra hypnosis. Though this is from TikTok, so before your eyes melt through your sockets, we'll move on to an astronaut named Heidi Marie Stefansson Piper, who fainted during a press conference, supposedly being hypnotized before she could reveal secrets on UFOs. Though these references to MKUltra are enjoyable, they are loosely based in reality. A more modern and popular rumor that surrounds MKUltra is whether or not cult leader Charles Manson was a byproduct of CIA psychoactive substance testing. I mean, you take one look at the guy and you know he's mentally boiled. There was also Ted Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, who allegedly took part in a Harvard LSD study overseen by the CIA and professor at Harvard University, Henry A. Murray. Ted took part in intense mock interrogations designed to assess limits of psychological breaking point.
This dude was fucked. He'd make bombs. And I didn't know about this guy till the other day. I watched Joe Bartolozzi react to a Unabomber video. Bro, he would build bombs in a shack in like fucking Oregon or Washington or something. He'd fucking build them, and then he'd send them out to people who he thought would advance technology in America, because he thought that the advancement of technology would ruin human civilization, so he wanted to slow it down and stop it, so he'd kill all those. And it was like a fucking, like, I don't know, like a technology store, bro, who sells computers. Like, he'd kill those fucking people. Like, what the fuck?
From 1978 to 1995, the Unabomber would later go on to create increasingly sophisticated bombs and mail them out to people, resulting in 3 people being killed and 23 others injured. It begs the question, was this violence a result of the manipulation and arguable torture Ted endured? There is no way of knowing if the CIA has stopped all illegal domestic activity against civilians. MKUltra may have evolved or rebranded itself, hidden deep within the CIA web, where no one would dare enter. One can speculate that CIA counterintelligence strategies have become more desperate and covert, adding to the fear that there may be some project out there worse than MKUltra. After all, science and technology have only advanced since the 1950s. If contemporary projects similar to MKUltra were to get green-lit, they would without a doubt be more effective and efficient.
Fuck. That's scary, bro. Holy shit, bro. That's unreal. Dude. If they're doing them today, we're not going to know about it until 20 years from now. Or, I guess things can get leaked a little bit faster, but there's definitely doing shit that we don't know about, bro. Fuck, man. All right. That was the history of MKUltra, bro. We'll see you on the next one.